And this part I was like, all right, I know the lyrics coming up.
What were you thinking, Austin?
I know it says put your hands on me. I knew that said that in here. Like this one I actually knew the lyrics were coming.
You set it up. You set it up for me to put.
Yeah, I went to put back to back and I was like, okay, cool. Let's see what she does. When you touched me, I was like, where your hands went, I was like, whoa.
Oh, they were way in the front.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Nerdy West Coast Swing. I'm Cassie Winter.
I'm Alicia Marshall.
And tonight we have not one, but two amazing guest hosts, Janelle Guido and Austin Coes. Feel free to say hi.
Hi, guys.
So tonight we're going to be talking about Austin and Janelle's dance from Capital 2020. I am going to drop it in the chat right now. So everybody go ahead, go give it a watch. And when you're done, come back, let us know in the chat, and we'll get to questions and analyzing. We're going to start out with a few Q&A before we get into analyzing the video. As always, you're always welcome to unmute yourself and ask a question or type a question in the chat at any time. Question number one, for our Patreon members who are studying grounding this month, can you each share one of the biggest ahas you had about grounding and how it affected your dancing?
I remember like when I was just starting out and I was like, I'm grounded, but I was so like not lifting up and I was just thinking about the floor and not even communicating where my weight was with my partner. So I was grounded, but my partner didn't know where I was and couldn't feel my groundedness. So not communicating that in the hand was a big gap in my dancing for a couple years.
For me, like the biggest aha moment was realizing that grounding is really happening during split weight and how you manage split weight going from step to step and really manipulating your weight transfer through a foot as well. It's not just being on a foot or having your foot on the ground. It's really being in a place where if you could stand on that foot or stand in the stance you're currently in and stop, you're grounded. So like if I'm rolling through a foot or my weight is going past a foot, like I'm here and I go past that somehow, like that's not grounded anymore. Even though I might have my feet on the floor and I might be, having my weight technically on the foot, if I'm too far on one end of the foot, or if I'm too far on the edge of the foot, or if I don't work through the split weight between steps very well, I'm not grounded and I can easily get too essentially high off the floor and lose that and kind of like get my weight up to the top of my body, essentially meaning I'm tipping myself into steps without control. Like that's the biggest thing for me is like realizing that it's really just how your feet are like interacting with the floor and how you manipulate yourself from step to step.
Yeah.
Awesome. Funny enough, next month we're covering weight transfers.
We are.
That could be like 2 months. Just do 2 months.
Just 2 months.
This is actually the entirety of the dance. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, the most important thing.
We wanted to ask you guys what your backgrounds are, what your dance backgrounds are, and like what you feel that brings to your dancing currently.
So this is a fun one. My dance background is Janelle was my first dance teacher for West Coast Swing.
Yep.
And that's it. No other background before West Coast Swing. Nothing else happened before that. I think I took like one like polka class. My mom, because she was like, "Oh, you go to this dance night that just has like random dance that they teach every week at a local dance hall." And I'm just like, okay, sure, because it was just like the pre West Coast Swing at that point, and then just West Coast Swing started with Janelle at WNY.
So, yep.
So
and
full circle.
Yes, full circle. So I think my greatest achievement in West Coast Swing is I taught Austin Coes how to do West Coast Swing. Yeah,
It's
but
like,
the
it's
thing
like your whole family taught me.
we did, but I like literally just started teaching the free beginner class, like, and I've been dancing West Coast Swing for like 2 years, right? So like, not that I really knew what I was doing.
Isn't that how it is everywhere though?
It really is. But I mean, he turned out okay, so I guess I can teach. So my background is I did tap in ballet when I was little, but when it came to like performing, I literally got too scared and sat on my mother's lap. It was pretty funny because I love spotlights now. She like still's like, why can you do this now? And you couldn't do this. And I paid for the costumes and you never performed. And then I figure skated and played sports. And then I found West Coast Swing.
Cool. Awesome.
Which in your family found it first? Like, what's the history? Because like,
so Norquist I never did Norquist, but then my brother Daniel, the oldest brother, he did it. And then I got invited to a birthday party. And then Jessica Taylor and Jason Taylor, well, they weren't married then, but we didn't know each other then, but now they're my best friends. But I watched them and they were doing West Coast Swing. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's not East Coast Swing. What is that?
Yeah.
I was like, and then we became best friends. But they are the people that made me go, oh my gosh, that's cool.
It's a great story.
That's awesome.
Yeah, one of the things is like everyone always is like, did you do shag? I'm like, no, no, didn't do that. That's the question I get the most is like, did you ever do shag? I was like,
In another life, he did.
nope.
In another life.
In another life.
I
In a
like
past life.
played soccer from 4 to like now, and somewhere in the middle, started dancing West Coast Swing. That's it. It's like everyone's like, okay, I'm crazy.
It's the soccer footwork.
Yeah, totally.
Dribbling is no joke. I was a tap dancer, but I could not dribble a soccer ball to save my life.
Different kind of footwork.
Slightly different. Both of you dance both roles really well. So what in learning and improving your non-dominant role helps your dominant role?
I think the biggest thing with non-dominant role for me that kind of helped was figuring out how to stay essentially in backwards pitch the entire time through extension, and really working on staying kind of behind your foot a little more as a follower, and really kind of that helped with tying back to grounding. That just helped with really working through weight transfers and keeping connection consistent through that, and like kind of built onto other concepts that I then brought back into leading side of really how to drive connection through pitch, through movement, and all sorts of other stuff that I just didn't really think about too much. It was kind of there, but it wasn't like emphasized as much. And then now it's like, oh, I see where the effect is, and I see what the effect is that my follower can have on me, and so on. So like really how to manipulate from both sides essentially, and kind of make the dance work for both sides. But yeah, definitely, it's like especially your 1-2, just making sure you hang back to the 1-2 and realizing how easy it is to follow when you actually sit back versus getting ahead of yourself and running forward, and how awkward that is.
Yep.
I started leading because I was like, oh, I need to teach. I really need to understand, and I have to be able to do this if I'm going to teach this. But then I think what I've learned most from it is being able to dance with like really awesome follows and have a dance with them and like learn what they do, right? And obviously like I lead, follow, and switching. I've learned so much from all that, but I just love, like I've learned so much just dancing with awesome follows. And like, I love the way they settle, or I love the way they connect, or they match my shape. And I've like taken those and added those into my dancing.
Oh, cool.
It's always interesting as a follow dominant when you're leading an amazing follow and you have enough muscle memory to be leading just fine. But every once in a while, your follow will do something so amazing that you're like, wait, I need to learn how to do that.
Exactly.
And then your leader brain just shorts for a second.
Oh, yeah. And then I'm like, recovery sugar push.
It's like your feet just switch automatically.
Yeah, it's like automatic hotel pose.
Right. No, but it's good.
Gaze into the middle distance.
It's like, oh my gosh, I'm dancing with Jennifer Duluca. I need to analyze everything she's doing, but oh my gosh, I have to be a good leader.
At the same time, you have to lead her through everything
because
she's
instead of
doing.
oh my gosh, what's happening?
Do you guys prefer using a fixed or a variable frame?
Variable, 100%.
Variable. So when I hear fixed, I just think like,
Yeah.
right. And where we're from, well, we're close, but like Santa Rosa, there's a lot of people that learn just fixed frame, mummy dancing.
Mm-hmm.
There can be.
Dancing.
Austin,
That's beautiful.
mummy dancing. So, I mean, it's constantly changing and it has to be variable.
I mean, the thing for me too is that it is 100% variable all the time, because each different frame situation and how you set up your frame tells your partner a different thing. And if you always have a fixed set of frame, whatever it is, if it's a rotational frame, if it's a linear frame, you pigeonhole yourself into doing one thing, and it's just not a good way to lead or dance in general.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be able to react on both sides to whatever your partner's doing. So like if I'm trying to lead something rotational, I'm trying not to move you down the slot too much, I'll widen that up, I'll open my elbows up a little more, add more width and roundness to my frame. And like if my partner's got a fixed frame, it doesn't translate across, and that's their fault. So it's like,
And then how am I supposed to know what they're doing if they're always fixed?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like Cassie were talking about like different heights and stuff and adjusting. So I feel like sometimes, right? She's like,
Yeah.
it's
Like
like
you should have a base you always go back to, but like you should be able to manipulate it to make other things happen. You should not always be stuck on a certain thing.
Yeah, I love how like I mean the way like Jordan leads and the way Kyle leads, like it's different and there's different shapes. So I love like watch a video of Jessica Cox dancing with Jordan and then like watch a video of Jessica Cox dancing with Kyle, right? And you can see different shapes in her upper body and it's producing different things because she's adjusting and it's a viable frame.
Mm-hmm.
We actually did an episode on that in
Oh,
our early
what a
days.
great idea.
Yeah. It was really fun and interesting to specifically analyze like the same 4 champions, but dancing in all possible
different
partnering
situations, yeah.
combinations. Yeah.
I was watching them like also dance across the years and like how do they each change like to fit certain musical styles or whatever, just like where did they start, what is their essentially like peak, and then they're like how does it vary and how does it change throughout the entirety of their dance career. It's super fun too. Just like also like how they decide to approach frame especially is a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you watch Kyle especially, like you can see a huge variation between now and 2010 or earlier, but then it's also like who's he dancing with, like how is he reacting to that situation. So
Yeah.
Again, answer the question is variable 100%. Have a base, but be variable.
I think
Always
Alicia and
able to
I
change.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So we had a question from one of our frequent viewers about how to improve confidence when dancing in front of an audience in a spotlight. Either of you have any tips or stories of how you've worked on that in your own dancing and confidence?
Well,
Stop caring.
Stop caring.
that's awesome.
Literally, the less you care, the less you think about points, the less you think about winning, the better you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing I can say there is like if you ever go out there and think I have to win this, I have to do something, I have competition beside me. If you think it's just like, oh, we're just messing around with friends, you're gonna have a fun time. You can actually dance socially and have a good dance. If you go out there thinking this is a big competition, it's a big deal, I've got competition over here, I got to beat those guys, or I got to beat these followers, and I got to make something cool happen in the dance. And then you stop looking at your partner, you don't look at the audience properly, you don't engage with people, you don't have human interaction, you don't have the right dance kind of interaction. It all falls apart. Just don't give the crap.
Of course.
Just don't care. I mean, obviously, like not 100%, but like care enough to like engage with the partner, but like don't care about the competition.
Don't forget to triple. But
Yeah, exactly. Like just don't care that it's a competition. And obviously, it's like, oh yeah, just do that, like whatever. But it takes time. Just take time to like realize that the points aren't the important part of the dance.
Yeah.
What your result is like whatever.
I like to think like, oh, like what are the qualities of my dance that I want to show, right? Like, oh, like, and just positive thinking, like, oh, I'm good at this, this, and this, and that's what I'm going to go out there and do. And also what Austin said, like not caring what your peers think, right? Not caring what really, the judges, like I'm going out there to connect with my partner and make my partner have a good dance. And when you just think about like your partner instead of yourself, like you'll calm down.
Yeah, 100%. And like, it's also just knowing that the idea of the whole dancing situation in the spotlight like that is to showcase your ability to dance with that person to that song in that moment, not your ability to dance.
Yeah.
It's all about your partner and it's not about you. And if you go out there and you think like, I need to do these things, this is how I need to look, these are the lines I need to hit, whatever, you're going to do something wrong in the partnership that's going to make something, essentially
And I mean,
degrade the overall experience. Yeah.
You've trained so hard and your technique is set, right? You don't have to think about it.
Yeah. And if you're thinking about it, you're going to make a mistake because you're going to, take your important brain power from something else that's important in the dance, which is the music or your partner. Like a lot of people go into, especially competition weekends, and they're trying to make changes on that weekend. That is not a thing to do ever. Never try and make changes on a comp weekend. You go there and your dancing will be the exact same start of weekend to end of weekend as a baseline in competitions. You're not going to go at the start of the weekend, take a dance or take a lesson and somehow magically dance better in comps because of it. And you're usually going to overthink something and do something a little bit, less interesting, essentially. You might do something technically new to you, but is it technically better as in terms of like an actual dance or competition dance? Probably not. Take that information, put it in the back of your brain, like lock it up, open it next week as you go back to social dancing, or like at night social dancing for practice. But in your competitions, just let it go. You're doing whatever your muscle memories at that point, and it's going to be a lot better for you.
I actually have a curious follow-up question. So if you're there in the spotlight and you're present for your partner, but you can tell that they're not there and present for you, do either of you have a technique that you use to help your partner check back in with you?
Yeah, starter step. Don't take 2 beats in a starter step. Don't take 4 beats in a starter step. Take more time. Just like take a second to like give them a hug. Just breathe together for a second. Like do something to keep your guy, like to center yourselves and actually like say, hey, this is where we are. We're together in this partnership. We're not together with the audience. We're not together with anything else in the room. It's just us and the song. Like if you do a starter step too quickly, like a lot of times you'll see in like lower levels, even up through all-star sometimes, like you'll see starts like song comes on, immediately triple go, and then someone is off the connection somehow. They're off their partner somehow. Just as a follower, even like just hold on. Just
and I breathe. Like if my leader's like energy's up here and is like disconnected, like I bring my like energy towards him and I like breathe breath like into the sugar push. Like it calms them down.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Another thing too is I kind of like see when this is one thing that's like helped me when I have kind of gotten out of my head in a dance. So like if I had a partner and they just take an extra couple beats in a pattern somewhere, wherever it is, it just brings you back down to center because you have to like stop and think for a second. And it's really easy as a leader to kind of get into that energizer bunny dance where you're just going and going and going, and your brain isn't really thinking about what's happening. You're kind of muscle memory the entire time, but at the same time, it's no thoughts about anything, not just no thoughts about the patterns doing. And as a follower, if you can break that monotony for me and kind of like say, hey, let's get 2 extra beats in the middle of this pattern. I'm just going to stop myself on 3 or whatever, hang out for 2 beats. That's a huge benefit for me because I'm like, oh, cool. Centered me. I'm back down here. I can kind of like reconnect with you for a moment. The same way as starter step as a leader, we can kind of dictate how much time's taken there and say like, hey, we're going to center ourselves now. Like followers have a ton of power with that.
Cool. Robert asks, any thoughts on how to recenter mid-song? Is it kind of the same technique?
I would say same thing. Leaders are followers. Like if your follower seems like they're just running, like get back to close as you come out of a big phrase. Like come out of your first chorus and get back and close and just chill. Try and do things that kind of give you pause, take your patterns and break them apart a little bit. Yeah, even if it's just yourself that's not centered, if you feel like you're kind of out of body, you're having this weird out of body experience where you're going, but you're not really sure what's happening. Which I know definitely happens in competitions. Like just decide like 2 to 4 beats, add it in somewhere. Maybe it's a phrase change. You just pause 4 beats and hang out there for 4 beats. That's like my favorite one because it's literally just it's points. It's free points. Like, oh, you hit a phrase change. You gave us a big aha wow phrase change moment. And you can recenter, but all you do is just stand there 4 beats. It's easy. Just game the system.
To the screen share.
And I just want to say, like, Forrest, watching Forrest in this is pretty hilarious.
Look at his face right now. Look at that face.
It's great. Yeah, Forrest is great right now.
Meech's his face over there too.
I don't know about you guys, but I love watching the people behind the chairs. Like I watch a dance and then I rewatch it and I watch everyone's expressions.
Yeah, I love that.
Especially if it's Forrest cleaning his ear.
Going slow-mo through all these videos every week like we've been doing forever now. We see so much more in the background than we do normally, and it's fabulous. So at any point that either of you want to talk about a section or have me freeze or back up or draw something, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll just kind of...
And I think one thing that'd be good to talk about is just the start of the dance. Because comparing it to all the other dances that happened, especially before us, like just going into this whole thing, the first thing I thought of was like, we just need to chill.
Yeah.
Because every single other couple that went before us was rushing. They were like ahead of the beat on these really slow, groovy songs. And I was like, we're just going to hang out. Have a good time. Chill, whatever, relax.
Yeah, that's one thing I really appreciate about this dance is that it's very laid back. It's more social-like than competition.
It's not forced.
Like right here, like one thing I did like intentionally here is that I just let her go. Like I made sure I didn't have any contact here for as long as possible through that pattern, just to make sure she could just take as much time as she wanted.
And I took it.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. But it's like making sure that we didn't kind of get in that like, oh, pattern to pattern to pattern right in the intro, which was what I felt on all the other dances. It was just like a little over the top everywhere.
Yeah.
Like they had no breath, they had no kind of pause. So I wanted to make sure I was trying to fit that in. And even like in that whole starter step sequence, I don't think I triple once. And I feel like that's a really important thing for that energy too, is like making sure we cut out as much work as possible.
Austin's really good about the energy of his dances always, like starting it here and it has a place to go.
Yeah.
Right? So if you start a dance up here, like where is it going to go? And the music never starts up here either.
Yeah.
It's like a big peeve of mine.
Same.
Yep. We talked about that on our phrasing episode last week.
Yep.
Yeah, because like there I did like a single step, 1, 2, single step hold all the way through to 6 essentially. Hey, I'm keeping time. At least it's not the Connor Goodson snaps. You can like hearing those from across the room and Connor be like dancing in a prelim, just snap.
Yeah. And I love watching this slow. It's because you see there's that little like thing I hit in the music, but like even like Chantel, like she's just like, like, you know, we didn't do much, but you know, we already like kind of got the audience.
Yeah.
Right.
Captivated the attention.
Because they're almost like waiting for something to happen because we were so here.
Yeah, because I think that section there too, I was like, let's take time again just to like get that breath, get that kind of relaxation going to make sure we didn't overdo the dance, like overdo the intro. Because we take an extra 4 beats here on Sanker just for the hell of it. Like I don't step for 4 whole beats. I just kind of jam. She's there on the split weight, which is like the lowest energy can possibly be in the dance is on the split weight, not even on 1 foot. Like she could do, the only thing that she could do to be less energy was take her feet and put them together. Like that's it.
Yep.
Like, so she has one little movement.
That looks really weird slow.
without the music too? Without the music too.
No, I like it was really good when there was music.
But like even then, it's just like we're hanging out for 4 beats. Like what are we gonna do to make sure we can not overdo the dance like the other couples? And that was one thing that I just like I knew going into it that I was like, you know, I need to make sure to just chill, just take my time. And it was like I knew she was gonna do that fine because she does it fine anyway. But like I made sure like the biggest thing as a leader going into this kind of stuff is making sure as soon as you can off the bat to kind of set the tone. Like if I had gone pattern to pattern right away, it would have meant that the next time I kind of gave her space, it wouldn't exactly be filled right away. If I give her space off the bat and she can fill it, that means every other time I give her space in the entire dance, she's going to fill it.
Yep.
And it sets precedent for me and it sets precedent for her that kind of makes it easy to decide musicality and decide kind of partnership, stuff like that.
There's my awkward styling when it's slow.
I'm literally standing there on like mostly on the right foot doing nothing and just kind of like popping my chest very lightly. Like it's almost more awkward on my side. Like again, like my footwork doesn't even exist here still. Like brush and a tap for 3/4.
There's
my first triple the entire dance right there. But I think this is coming up right to the first phrase change, so I wanted to bring up the energy a little bit, right? It's like, wow, presentation on phrase change.
I wish I would have looked up more on this. Like I wish instead of looking kind of to the side, I wish I would have looked straight onto the audience.
Like I made sure to like let her kind of set the timing. I set split weight.
Yeah,
and it's like you figure out what side you're gonna go on. I'll just rock with you.
And like you can see where Austin has his hand on my wrist. Like I felt where he was. Because I don't particularly like, no one does, like when the guy's behind and you don't know where he is, you can't feel it, you don't know what's happening.
But also like making sure I was not turning my chest at all during this whole thing. Like I wanted to face her and just kind of sit there and let her know that I wasn't going to turn and move. And I think a lot of times like guys are uncomfortable sitting in this situation or followers really uncomfortable sitting here because the guy turns a little bit behind them. puts his frame somewhere else, and then the follower's like, should I go? It's a question mark instead of like very obvious at the end here. Like I turn my chest, 20, 30 degrees to the left of her, essentially by opening her frame up. It's like, but yeah, it was like that whole thing right here, this hand thing. Like, who is it that did that in the first? Was it Meech?
I think it was Meech.
Like puts his hand through his partner, like through Chantel's legs or something like that, or whoever his partner was. I can't see. No, I don't know. But someone did like this through the partner's legs, and I was like, interesting choice. We'll bring that back somewhere, I guess. And I was like, I was gonna do it when you're in front of me there, but I was like, I'll just kick through, I guess. Something else.
I didn't even like notice you did that.
Oh yeah, you didn't notice I kicked through your legs the second time too.
No, I didn't. Oh, you totally did.
Like you popped your knees out a little bit. I was like, there's a gap. I'll just kick through.
There's room.
Yeah, so Meech is calling that out because he did that with his hand earlier.
Leaders.
I always like watching the hand. Like I like watching like the level of the hand in my dances. Like to see if I'm lifting the hand, dropping the hand, doing anything weird with the hand, especially like going out from a 4 to a 6. Like I really like that one. Like I don't want to like brag, but I like that one a lot because it doesn't move at all from 5 to 6.
No.
The hand is just like stops, and then we move away from the hand, but like both our hands are here in space. They don't move anywhere up, down, forward, backwards. I'm like,
Yeah.
It felt so good.
It did feel really good. The hand.
Oh yeah, and if I turn on ghosting, you can keep seeing the circle.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
And I love like when I jumped into this, like, and I made a shape that Austin completely rode that around. And he always does.
One thing I've been trying to do a lot, I guess not this year because, whatever, but like mostly like last year and up to this year, was working on keeping my hands more like essentially level and one-dimensional in redirections. I don't want to like do as many redirections that go towards my partner and down or towards my partner and up at the same time. Like I don't want to have it go this way. I want it to only go down slot first and then adjust afterwards. Obviously,
as a tall follow, bless your soul.
As much as physically possible. Obviously, like you have a lot of times and you're like, well, I need to do a thing that like goes in a different direction sometimes. But like, yeah, like it should just be like, and then choose something else. Like even here, like that leads out just down the slot, and then it comes back just down the slot, and then it lifts up.
Yep.
Also, like your frame made that so easy.
You're welcome.
Like,
do you want to talk about what you're doing with your frame there, Janelle, to make this possible?
I'm setting it, and I'm just waiting for Austin to respond to it. And I feel like because I dance with Austin a lot, like I know that when I make something like that he is going to respond, and you can see how he's shaping his body to my shape that I created.
Yeah, because she gives me that on 4 too. That's the biggest thing for me. Is like she gives me the direction she's going by 4 at the latest. So I have 4, 5, and 6 to figure it out for one.
They need time.
Yeah, like we need to do the same thing, but like when you do that as a follower, it's like thank you so much. Makes life so easy when you take away options. Like oh my god.
And then I kept the shape. Yep.
Yeah. But like even that, like I like me just making sure that my frame is posted there on what would be the 4 that redirection, right? Like just so you had the space to fill that.
Yes.
Like that's my focus there, and then like
see, he
you're
gave
actually feeling that
the opportunity to create something
by doing nothing.
By doing nothing. Like what he did in the beginning of the dance.
Right.
And be as a guy, just be lazy. As a leader, be lazy. Not a guy. Like it seems like we do so much work, but if you watch a lot of this, like positionally moving through patterns, she passes me and I don't really move at all.
That's what West Coast swing is supposed to be, though.
Like I don't move in space here at all, forward or backwards down the slot. I'm tipping forward and backwards. But the entirety of this pattern through 4 and through the redirection, all the way to the next pattern, I just come across the slot. But like, if you look at, try and find Mackenzie in the back, you can't because I just block her chair the entire time. And like that's when I say be lazy, like it's more of that. Like I want to make sure you still add energy to dance.
I set my frame up for him. If you go back.
Right here.
Right there.
And you keep rotating into it. Like, thank you.
You're welcome.
Like right to the end, right to the point when I start adding a little bit of pull back. That's that's when you stop rotating your frame. And stop moving into that point as well.
That was very Kyle of you, Austin.
This setup got a little weird, but I actually like.
You know what? It felt kind of weird for a second, but then I kind of like how it like turned out though.
Yeah, because that's like I was like I'm gonna try and move around you here for fun.
Right, but then like we stayed really tight and it worked.
Yeah. Like I was trying to like essentially do a whip the double outside turn, but I guess a repeating whip double outside turn. But I wanted to move myself around you down the slot instead of moving you down or past me down the slot, you know? So I tried to like walk past you here, but I kind of moved you forward a little bit, so it kind of like didn't have the right image, but tried it. So next time I know.
Next year we'll try it.
Yeah, right. That's something I like playing with too, is like as a leader, like how much of the movement is like your job in the pattern? Because like if you look at this first half here, 100% of the movement is on her half. Like I have 0 movement down the up and down the slot. She's 100%. And then there's like the reason that middle bit where I try and go past her kind of doesn't look as impactful is because it's not 100% 0 anymore. Because she moves like 30% of it. I move 70%. That's where it looks weird because there's a shared amount. And then if you notice at the anchor at the very end of it, I do 100% movement away and it looks a little better. So using that, trying to keep that scrolling idea going, because right there we kind of switch spots, even just that much, and it doesn't look as impactful as if I did all the movement past her the other way. But then here I'm like, I plant you up, I'm like, hang out. Trying to get you away from you. And
I like the way that looked.
Yeah. Just making sure I like got you stationary first. It's like, hang on. Because there's actually compression here because I had to kind of get you to stop.
Yeah.
Make sure you had balance first and like compression a little bit. Push myself away. Cool. Fake another triple because we're chilling out for this dance. Not really doing triple steps. In 2, 1.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So back here, after this turn, you dissipate the energy by coming up. Is that an intentional choice for you?
I felt like what Austin said about like, I did feel like slightly off balance there. So I feel like it might have been just like a body mechanic thing, like just like kind of settling back like here, like I lifted, and also to like, because there was what Austin's saying, there's a little bit of compression. And it was like kind of like an awkward moment that I was trying to make look intentional, right? And just to feel balance, because that's like, if I feel off balance, I think I need to regain groundness.
Yeah.
So I think it was more of like a recovery that like kind of looked cool.
Yeah, that's what it looked like, but I was curious.
Yeah, but like one thing I'd advise all leaders to do is if your partner seems like they're off balance, they don't feel like they can move to fill the slot, do it yourself. And do it before they have a chance to like decide to do it themselves. Like if I had waited a half beat longer to start moving or waited another step to start moving, she would have wanted to fill space the other way and it would have looked really awkward. We would have both moved like this.
Yeah.
And so like as a leader, if at the moment you kind of come out of a spin, something like this, like if you have a skater spin, for example, or 1 foot spin, and you're like coming out of that and your partner's a little off balance, Like get them to stop and then you start moving as soon as they're about to finish the turn so they don't have a chance to fill space because they have already the job of standing up first to do.
Yeah.
Like let them stand up first, and then you can, you want to take over the work of moving instead of like saying, hey, I'm gonna stand here, you catch your balance and then run away and then come back to me. And I think that's a lot of work. Like we need to take the jobs that we get the opportunity to take over, which is the push on the 3 and 4 of a sugar push and occasionally moving an anchor like this.
Mhm.
Yep.
But like if I didn't move, that would have been a really awkward connection if I just stayed there.
Yep.
They'd be like, well, who moves? Question mark. Just tighten your frame. Use your biceps. I like that too. That was one thing I've been teaching people a lot and playing with is really driving into my shoulder through passes. Really working on my own pitch transfer through 3 to 4, especially from 2 to 3 actually, because I'm all the way past that foot forward pitch, holding the left shoulder forward, essentially leading that pitch change for her because she does the same thing on the other side. But if I had stayed back with her, she'd been really uncomfortable doing that. Because I give her the opposition here, drive into that. She can really feel like pulling into the right shoulder, pulls down the slot more. And she doesn't drive off slot. We don't do the same thing where you truncate an underarm turn and run off to the side of the slot.
I feel where he wants me on 4. And I feel the post.
The post.
Huh.
Yeah, like if I had stayed with her, that probably would have felt super airy and she would have just kind of like awkwardly floated to the end trying to find the rotation for trying to find the end of the slot. If I had just stayed upright, it wouldn't have been as concrete, but it still would have been there. But I was like, I want to make this look like we're both really leaning into this coming out just to give it a little more energy because it's just a basic underarm turn. There's literally there's nothing to this that's changing footwork or anything. There's nothing to this that's changing the pattern itself. Like how can you make that look a little more interesting with just tipping, tilting, using your pitch?
I really appreciate how you take the hand across to the other rail. You're not just bringing it over the center of her head, because that's really common for leaders to do. You're actually sending it across to the other side of her. Yeah. So it's comfortable for Janelle to tether into this.
Yeah. One thing I play with too is like what the time I use for moving the hand across the rail. Like if I cross my 2 in front on an underarm turn, I'll take it over like 3 and. I'll have it on the other side by 3 and so they can really work into 4. If I take my right foot back down the slot for 2, I'll keep it all the way over on my side as long as possible essentially, and then like keep the window open as long as possible and then barely get to the other side of the slot by 4. Mm-hmm. It's really playing with those angles too is fun. Just like how can you change up a basic as many times as you can? Yeah. Like how can I make this the exact same footwork timing wise and just mess up everything else somehow just a little bit? Yeah, like about the pitch thing too, like it's always pitching away from your partner down the slot, away from your partner, like not in terms of where like your direction on the slot. So like I always I was watching as she's passing me, I'm already starting to pitch forward as she's coming to me, so she knows to pitch away from me down the slot the other way as she drives through into 3 and really connect into that. Making sure it's early enough as a leader too. Like if I waited for her to start getting past me and then tip into it, it's just going to feel like a really heavy, awkward lead. Do it again though, really quick. Draw the line from my right foot.
There?
Yeah, because I'm actually upright.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So I'm not tipping. Like if you drew it from the other foot, it looks like I'm falling over. Mm-hmm. But the important thing there is that the shoulder is just slightly in front of the foot. Yeah. So I'm actually like only on the ball of my foot, barely. Like right there, I'm actually like center of foot, ending the beat kind of on the ball of the foot a little forward rather than ending the beat kind of on the heel.
Yeah.
Making sure you like watch that line there instead of watching where the other foot is, because then you like it looks like I'm tipping way over, but actually in reality I could stay there forever.
Yeah. I hit the button. One too many times, and it took us all the way back to the beginning. But yeah, because it's one of the things that's fun about using the drawing tools is highlighting the difference between the gesture of the body versus like where the actual center is. Because I think that's one of the things that a lot of people get messed up with when they try to watch. They will see you in this position and think you're like really leaning and pitching into it when you're not. You're very much counterbalanced and using contour body to be really grounded and centered while creating that shape.
And I think if we were able to actually see the foot because there's a head in the way, but like I think how that ended up is that my head is maybe an inch past the center of my foot. Like not the edge, like the center of my head is just an inch off to the side. So I'm not even that far ahead of myself. Like from there, the center of my head is maybe an inch off center of foot, and that's forward pitch. And like it's literally if you stood there on 2 flat feet and rocked heel to toe, that's the difference we're talking about. So it's not a lot of actual movement, but it's all the other aesthetics going into that make it look like it's a big crazy movement.
Right.
Even though it's literally just like this much. But also, this is the first dance I wore these pants in for a competition. I haven't worn thinner pants in like 3 years, or 2.5 years. So I bought these golf pants. I was like, they're comfy. They
This
fit
is
right.
his Robert Royston. This is his Robert Royston. Right there.
But again, like watching the hand there's so much stretch, but the hand doesn't go anywhere. Like we just, like at the end of this, like both of our elbows are pretty bent here. And we have so much space to fill within our own frames, but the hand doesn't actually go anywhere. Like obviously this is going in and out of the slot, but right here, stretch, nothing happens to the hand. Right.
Yep.
So even if like it might look almost violent because of how much we stretch apart, like it's all independent. She could have stayed there and done nothing and it would have been exactly the same pattern.
Right.
Because this is all independent stretch. It's my side and her side only. The next one, when I grab her other arm, I do actually cause her to do a body wave by moving the hand into her space, but here it's like all that action with no actual movement of the hand. Then here, kind of draw a little circle with that.
Yep. Do you actually want me to like trace the hands? Because I can. Because you're arcing the hand through space.
Yeah, making sure it goes in a smooth arc as well.
Yeah, and then you're not necessarily pulling her towards you. You're just bringing the hand down to a point where she has to bend over to reach it.
It does come back a little bit because I wanted its body wave forward. Like it switches kind of from full compression to like a little bit of almost extension as I come back down the end of the circle or the end of the arc, and then it kind of turns into compression again as I get to the end of my side right here as it comes back towards me slightly. And I can keeps doing that kind of Fibonacci spiral where it shrinks, but it keeps going in a circle. So like goes up and it goes down and it goes like this and it goes and pushes back in that little spiral there. Tiny circle and then pushes back at her. And now it's back to linear where it's flat.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and finish this out. So I trained as a 3D character animator. So that's where like where I got the idea for like doing videos like this.
Oh my gosh.
Because like one of the things that you learn is arcing through space to train as a character animator.
Cool.
Isn't that cool? And like that's the kind of shit that you have to have a trained eye to be able to just see it.
Yeah.
And it helps having a visual representation.
Yes, it totally does. That's so cool.
I think it's actually really cool is that like it's similar to just how you would design kind of, actual like engineered things like roller coasters, whatever. Like you never want to do a circle as an actual circle because that'll kill somebody in real life.
Yeah.
Because the G-forces will like kill you. So yeah, when you're doing even arcs and circles in the dance, it should have essentially an oval shape all the time. Like you want to make sure it's either a long oval or a tall oval, but it should always be that way somehow. Goes up, goes more down, it goes into a sideways oval here, and then goes at her. Just because it's easier on the connection, easier on the partner to find that, because it's, prioritizes one dimension more than the other. So it's a little more interesting to play with that kind of shape than it is if I made that a perfect circle. That'd be really awkward because it'd just be like continuous and equal force the entire time, which means there's no acceleration, no deceleration.
Yeah, and it would also, it would have forced her to also bend over a lot more if you brought it down even further.
Like invading her space even more and just making it really awkward.
Yeah. All right, one last pass through.
So cool.
And then like also on the leading side, making sure that whole thing kind of comes out of a body lead. Like even that push towards her, I move my body first and then push out towards her. I compress into my own frame first. I move myself away to get that extension, get the feeling of extension. It pulls her back a little bit down. As I go, okay, now I need to get into your space to give compression at the bottom of this arc. My body already starts coming forward. And then it ripples across. And then extension comes, I'm already presetting my body to go the other way ahead of the time, so I know that I can catch it, and then I'm going.
Robert said that's remarkable.
Thanks. Max. What was the lyric there? Why was I doing that again?
It's just leading up to a phrase change.
No, but there was something.
There was.
There was
It was
something,
crazy.
It was crazy. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Phrase change hits with you or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but it was like crazy, so I was like, very literal.
Oh, you make me go crazy. Then it's all you.
Right. So I'm crazy than you.
That just hurts my neck to look at.
Yeah.
You know what? It's. But do you see how like when I do head stuff like that, I'm really arching my body.
Yep.
Right. So it's really. It just looks bigger than it is.
And it's your hair doing a lot of the work too.
It's my hair.
Yeah.
It starts from the rib cage to my neck to my hair. See.
There's the hair going. Whip the hair around. Hit me in the face. Okay.
Did I hit you in the face?
I have no idea. I don't remember that.
It happens enough.
And the thing that I'm noticing is you're going straight back and then to one shoulder, but because it's in conjunction with a turn, just that like quarter change and where your head was aimed made it look a lot bigger.
Yeah.
She's also going around the turn with her body too, not going against the turn.
That's what, if I do it and it's not connected to my body, then I will get like a whiplash.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what Austin said about like my hair, yeah, it does make it look a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Choreography is great.
Yeah.
Thing.
Sorry, she's not going with the turn. She's going opposite turn, but that's what makes it easier. If she went with the turn, someone went left there. It'd be really awkward.
One more.
And again, and again. I like this. This next part was my favorite part of the dance.
Really?
Yeah, I was just like, what? Like, I didn't even
the
realize. I
line
didn't even know the lyric was there, and I was like, oh, I feel like he's gonna say a line.
Oh, I totally
like-
knew it.
I was like, I feel like I've heard the sound before. My brain was just like, I
Do
think
you
it's
see how
there.
I'm like, and there's a line? Like,
Yeah,
so
but I was just like, stop.
That is so funny because it looks so intentional. Like you knew that this was going to be the lyric, and you were
Like,
going to be
I-
very punny.
I forgot how many times I've heard the song, but it wasn't enough for me to like know exactly the line was coming up. I was like, I have a very distinct feeling he's gonna say line because it says cross here. So I'm like, there's probably line coming up. So I could have just let her out, but I was like, oh, I should just stop her and see what happens. Like, I'm assuming line's coming up. That was my comp brain. Like, oh, I know that lyric's there, but in comp, I'm like, I think it's coming. Maybe
Things happening.
do it. I guess.
Sometimes the language half of my brain isn't necessarily up and running when I'm dancing, and it's not until afterwards that I'm like, oh, that's the
Yeah.
song I was dancing to.
oh, see,
Oh, I had that moment at another dance, in that Seattle Easter swing with Anya like 4 or 5 years ago.
yeah.
We got a really dirty song. Really awkward because it's Seattle Easter swing. It's a really dirty song on a nasty event, but I had no
That
idea what
is
the lyrics
awkward.
were until I watched it afterwards. Like,
I always have the lyrics like in my head.
Yeah, me
It's
too.
always running through when I'm dancing.
Same.
but the thing I like about that, Janelle, is that you just planted on that foot and you didn't try and bounce off the hand.
No,
And
no,
I tried
no.
to make sure I just gave you a break, but no redirection. But like, I was like, thank you for not moving.
Well, like kind of part of this, like going into this dance, I just wanted to be patient
Right.
and also not rushing out of moments. Like that was a cool moment. And just like waiting for everyone to like read what we just did.
Yeah.
But like,
Right.
I'm so used to dancing with people that just decide to like, oh, you got stopped. I'm gonna turn and face you now. It's like, no,
No,
stay
because
there.
it was like the line. I wanted to like I crossed the line and I pointed to the line. Like
Like, got it. Yeah.
hello, look at what I just did.
And you're like,
Line.
look, it's right there in the floor. It's on the floor. You see it? And Forrest in the back laughing.
Wherever you point, like that's where the audience is going to look, right? And if you look, the audience will look in that direction.
We broke the cardinal rule of don't have your back to the audience.
You broke it.
I brought shame to my family. No, I'm just kidding.
Austin's mom. What will you say?
I think it's actually better this way because if it was the other way, your back would have been to the audience. It wouldn't really see
No.
the hand as well.
Yeah.
It worked out perfectly.
And also it's extra punny because then if Austin, you are the line
Yep.
and Janelle
And
is
I
crossing the
crossed it.
line. Like aesthetically, it's much more punny from this angle,
Yeah.
and I appreciate it.
Like punny. We do punny.
I was like, how many puns can I get?
That's just your goal.
I try and like try not to use the same gimmicks every time I hear a song, but when I'm social dancing, I just find myself doing the exact same thing for years
He
on end
does.
of the same
He does
thing.
the exact same thing years on end.
There's a couple songs that I hear and every single time for the exact same lyric every single time we hear the song. I do the exact same movement to my partner over and over and over. It's just like, why? I don't know. I don't want to take the effort to actually make something new. Why would I do that?
You don't feel like being creative.
Nah, I'm just if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Here we have another one of those like cool moments where you got that post set up and the stretch was on both sides independent.
Yeah.
Robert.
Robert said, there's nothing quite like a leader's love for their musicality.
Is it musicality or is it messing with your partner? Like, I don't know. Where's the line drawn?
I think that's musicality in quotes.
Yeah. That's exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh, best creativity.
Yeah, Kate said, where do you find your best creativity, late night spotlight practice, etc.?
I would say like if I'm in the right mindset in any of those situations.
Yeah.
It's like a mental state I have to be in.
Yeah,
Like,
same.
if I'm in a bad mental state for whatever reason, right? You know, something's going on in life and it affects my dancing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I just have to be in a good mind space. Oh, How do you get into the mental state?
Oh, I don't know how to get in that for me.
Breathing, like sometimes like I'll like hyperventilate before I get on the floor, you know?
Or do an entire dance anaerobic. Just no breathing at all.
No breathing at all.
That one's always fun.
But positive thinking, right? Like, you know how they're supposed to, like, before you go in an interview, what you're supposed to do, positive thinking, you know, all those things. Like, if I go into it, like, positive thinking, like, almost saying, like, good things about yourself before I get on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this part because Austin, like, it was so responsive to this, like, major weight shift that I did here.
Yeah, because you fall all the way to the right here.
I do.
Actually, you fall left. Sorry, I go right.
Left. But he countered it, and it felt so good. Am I right, Austin? It felt good to me.
So I was like, I want to try and get to do some rotation after this, but if I just stayed in the middle and sank backwards, it'd been really, really awkward.
But if I just did it and he didn't counter that or play off it, it wouldn't have looked very good at all. It only looked good because he listened and countered that.
One thing that's really important, I think a lot of people kind of like get stuck on is, the dance is linear, but there's so many moments where as a leader, you can just turn the line. It's not like you're using rotation. You're not actually using arcs to dance. Like you're not bending the slot the entire time, but literally just turning the slot. I just, the way that I move my body and like position myself side to side and face her, that line's now just drawn at a different angle on the floor. So instead of being like that, it's now over here, And so it's still a linear dance. We're just not dancing with the floorboards every time.
Right.
And then as I kind of get back to my right foot, she gets back to her, she gets back to hers. And we kind of get back to center, then the line just turns again. But
that's my best friend. That's my bestie.
So now our line's back in line with the audience and with the floor.
Oh, look at Forrest.
Here we go.
Forrest,
here we go.
Leaned with us.
I was like, should I bend and snap? I'm like, what should I do with the hand? Like, should I go all out for this? I was like, looking at you like, are you coming with? Okay, cool.
Are you coming with?
Well, yeah, because you weren't down yet. And I was like, I don't want to be down here alone. This is really awkward. Just sit there.
Were you trying to lead me into that, Austin?
Yeah, I was like.
I didn't know, like in my head though, for a second, I was like, do I just stand and watch or do I do it?
I tried to make sure I brought the hand down with me to say like, hey, come on down. Instead of like leaving up there and just like, hey, what's up? Hands up here, frames up top.
But my booty was out more. I win.
Yeah. I mean, you just can't see because my shirt isn't tight on my stomach.
Arc it. He needs to
white
arc
boy
more,
back swing.
don't you think? Austin?
Dude, my hip mobility is garbage. My hip mobility is garbage. My lower back, I'm not gonna do that. That's stretching me to do.
I mean, to be fair, that's like really flexible for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like at the end of this, when you went to do the hip bumps, I was like, I'm just gonna hang out here. I'm not sure what's going on with this last section. See what happens. See what she does to fill here.
Oh, that's the creepiest. What is that?
It's like just the awkward phase after like cringe. But here I was about to lead and I was like, oh wait, nope, we're doing a thing.
No, yeah, there was the thing, Austin. The music.
Yeah, I know.
You know what? I think that's what it was. Because remember, like my mindset going into it was, don't rush out of moments, right? Like we just had a moment, and instead of just moving, like I'm gonna.
Yeah, sync it up. The thing that really like made me stop and do that with you, because if you look at me, I'm actually
We're about to go
fully going into 6-and, kind of like rolling through into that one.
And I'm like, I'm not.
And
moving.
I couldn't move you because you're split weight.
Yep.
You literally just planted up and you stood there, and like, I don't move the hand until I feel the hand start to move, and you start to release your body. So I was like, even though I go all the way back and just get all this body action happening, my hips don't actually go that far. And my frame is straight, but it's not pulling your hand out of place again. Because I was like, oh, I can't move you at all. So thank you for grounding yourself for me.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Robert said that.
Oh, yeah. Austin's motion hip thrust is pretty good.
I just like laughed at the end of that. I was like, I didn't expect that to be there, so then you did it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna laugh this up.
What did Robert say in the chat? Because I can't see it.
Oh,
Slow
he
motion. The hip thrust and slow
Slow
mo.
mo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just laugh it through the next pattern.
pretending it didn't happen. I love what Forrest is doing in the background right now.
I'm telling you,
Losing it.
Forrest is.
Forrest like windmill snaps. He does. He's doing like this stance with just one hand.
I think we should make that a meme or like a something.
Kate said, "Don't they say you get one hip thrust per spotlight?"
Is that a rule?
We've put 2, so sorry.
And there's more to come.
We took Gary's hip thrust. And this part I was like, all right, I know the lyrics coming
What
up.
were you thinking, Austin?
I know it says put your hands on me. I knew that said that in here. Like this one I actually knew the lyrics were coming.
You set it up. You set it up for me to put.
Yeah, I went to put back to back and I was like, okay, cool, let's see what she does. When you touched me, I was like, where your hands went, I was like, whoa.
Oh, they were way in the front.
Yeah. Like look at my face here. I'm like, if you see that, you've seen that picture, right?
Yeah.
I was like, keep my hands to myself because I was like, if I put them back there, I was gonna touch something I didn't want to touch. So I was just like, I'm gonna keep my hands to myself. And then you go down. My face
His face is genuine concern. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect you to go down, at least in the back.
Did you feel me going down?
Yeah. That's why I stood there and I was like, I'm not gonna move.
You look so scared.
Just like,
So this brings us to one of our prepared questions. On a scale of awkward to awkward, how awkward is it dancing a sexy song together?
not awkward.
It's
the
not
action
awkward.
I decided to do that made it.
But
It was entertaining. It wasn't actually that awkward.
I mean, it's a show, and we're friends. Like, you know, we're just messing around.
Like I know there's no intent behind any of it, so it doesn't feel awkward because we're just like messing around to the song. But here's where I kicked through your legs and you didn't notice.
No, I didn't.
That gets...
Wow.
I remember Zod did that at the next event. I think it was Rose City, and he like kicked someone in the crotch. And it was
Well, it looks like you just kicked me in the crotch.
it's a no contact sport, man. Not calling Zod or anything. I just heard that because a friend got hit, and I was like, no, don't do that. So guys, don't kick as high as I did.
I think we need to take that photo. Wait, pause it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a photo from my phone.
Yeah, I'll
all 5 pixels.
I can put this on the thumbnail later.
Okay. Proceed.
Like there, what I liked about that exit was that your hand was like trying to find me somewhere.
Oh, I always find my leader and let them know where I am.
Because it's like, oh, I'm going to touch somewhere on the sides. Then I was like, okay, I can just drape my hand out and have it catch and follow.
You see how I fed that to him.
Yeah, because then I could keep my head looking the other way and make that look a little better. Because if I had turned around here and my head turned around to face her before I turned, it looked really awkward. It's like the same way spotting, like it's the Phoenix, right? The reverse spot.
The Phoenix.
The rotisserie.
Turn body first, then your head goes.
Like
okay.
this part is kind of hard to see in slow motion, but like once I like did the squat thing, like the crowd was like, you know, liking it.
Like
and,
what
but
Lisa's doing?
Austin, like we kept our energy. Like we didn't like it didn't affect us.
Right.
Right. We just.
I was still honestly laughing at like the hands touching.
I like.
Was like
In the back.
Goose. Yeah. I was just like the whole time. I was still laughing at the whole thing.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
Kickball change for no reason. This pattern I got half rotation less than I wanted to on it. I was kind of disappointed because it looks like you followed the judges instead of falling down the slot.
Okay, so is this the...
This is when I come around, I kind of like kick your knee out.
Yeah.
Like bring that frame down, get some sort of body wave, bring it up.
Okay.
So I wanted to get you from this side all the way back around at the same side. Like I wanted to get you all the way back down towards where Forest is, but I only got you a quarter of the way around with that body wave.
So, well, I'm
And
gonna
it's sent out towards the
We'll
sent out towards the
watch it,
judges.
and then I'm gonna ask you all a question.
Because I wanted you to be more towards, the left side of the screen there. And I was like, well,
So, did that feel like I was doing that on purpose, Austin?
the bending back thing.
No, like just so confessions, right? It's so funny because I had people like come up to me like, "Oh my gosh, I loved when you went down on the ground," and like
You're just like, I just fell over.
it's like, yeah, I was about to fall over, people.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Moment.
Like I wanted you to actually like get this body wave into something down. I just wanted to get another 90 degrees
No,
off that
it was like go down on purpose or go down like
on the ground.
on the ground.
That's what I thought was happening initially when I watched this.
Yeah.
Because it looks like the way that you're coming out of it is very
Awkward.
unbalanced.
Oh, it is.
What was the
it-
point? Because I was trying to send that weight over the top so I could give you kind of a leverage hold. Like I was actually intentionally trying to like knock you off balance a little bit.
I did. It worked.
So literally, like, if
Mission
you watch my
accomplished.
right leg literally just goes like under your right thigh and just breaks that knee from the back. Makes you have to kind of like drop backwards. And then that
Yeah.
ripples twice and then it sends you over. But like I literally just didn't get enough rotation out of it. So it looks really awkward just going at the judges and you're like,
I'm
just sitting there like,
"Here's
hey,
my
what's up? Like if I'd gotten the rest of that rotation out, it would have looked better because then we would actually have like a visual gap between us instead of this weird awkward forward backwards thing.
Nice sitting.
Forest on the left.
I know.
The things that like killed her. I'm like, oh.
Why is Forrest like excited for my death?
Like I was like, I totally can hold you up.
You did.
Like, I had no worries about you falling there. That's the thing. Even if you're probably like, oh god.
I don't fall.
Yeah, you don't fall. I was like, one, I know you don't fall, but also was like, yeah, I got myself
I
set
squat.
up in a place where I'm like, I'm literally pushing you at the ground, and if I
You
can't
don't
hold you
fall,
up from that, that's my fault.
That's my I almost fell face. Everything's okay.
Didn't die. It was great.
Yep.
And
I
then I
didn't
messed up
die.
that prep.
Yeah.
Like I was fine. I was happy with all my preps and all my leads in, and then this one I like go up twice for some reason, like up, and then I go down again for no reason.
But I kept going.
Yeah, and I was like, I wanted a double outside turn or triple outside turn, whatever we did, and I was just like, why did I lift the hand up? I don't know. I could not tell you if I tried.
Brain fart. Ooh.
I was like, oh, we gotta get the phrase changed now, I guess. Just keep it going one more.
Slow hip.
I'm just watching Forrest in the background right now.
I know.
I know. Who's
I
watching?
don't know what he's doing.
I always love doing those single prep outside turns like that. Just off left and let go. Bye. Get pause, give you a wall to bounce off of, and just catch up later. And then kickball change. One.
Yes, we could do a whole analysis of Forrest reacting to West Coast dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh my
Do a
god.
video on that.
Can we do a video on Forrest?
Just hold it.
I mean, we'll
Do
do
a
it.
video on Ben McHenry reacting to any dance cameos in.
Yep.
That one's good too.
That's the whole thing. Like any dance that cameos in ever, it just spins in the back, just like jumping everywhere, which is amazing and I love it. But it's just funny. What was your favorite part of that dance, Janelle?
In the moment, it was probably, I know it sounds weird, but it's like when you started the dance, it was when you just released me, right? Like, and you just gave me that space. And from that moment, like, it felt great. right? Like I felt like we connected right there, and I just knew it was going to be a good dance from that moment.
That was my favorite part too. It's like honestly just that starter step, like knowing that you were like with me and just kind of grounding. I was like, cool, we can just jam. And also like when the song came on, like hearing that song, I was like, hey, cool song. It's a jam that's not like the basic slow late night junk that's like overplayed.
Oh, and the artist shared
on
Instagram, and he put like hot on it, and I like died. And I said, I'm like, Austin.
So a funny story about this too is the reason this is on YouTube at all from the Capitol is because Tammy Croc got sent this by the videographer because he thought it was the first place dance. Like she just asked for the first place dance for the comps, and he just sent both those, and she just was like, well, this is not first place, but we have it, so I'll upload it. And I was like,
I really like that, so I'm gonna post it.
It's like, thanks Bruce Gleason for that.
Well, we're all glad that you're there.
Thanks for hanging with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks for asking us.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah. This was awesome.
It's so fun. I think, let's just like keep doing this. Can we just watch more videos and keep going?
Just watch other videos, just random videos. We'll talk about
not
randoms.
me. I don't want to watch me again. But we can watch somebody else.
While we're here, everyone want to watch other videos?
Is there a video that either of you have been kind of like really obsessed with recently that you've been watching over and over and over again?
Yeah.
Mario and Sylvia at Boogie.
Oh my gosh, Sylvia Sykes is like the queen of swing. I feel an after party coming.
There's the post thing. Like, I just love that one because it's
great.
Like favorite for me. Like honestly, this phrase change here is my favorite part of the entire dance. It's like it just doesn't do anything. Like you don't need more than that. Like he literally just stands there and you're like, I don't need any more than that for this dance. This is cool.
But it's so connected. You can see the like the order of operations of how timing wise they're connected like perfectly, and it's affecting both of them through the chains of their bodies from the hand connection. Dun dun dun. It's so satisfying.
But it's just like the simplest things too. It's like, oh well, you need to recognize the phrase change. It's like, what do you need to do to recognize the phrase change? Like, do you need to do crazy dip? Do you need crazy all these huge movements? Like, no, you just
acknowledge it.
A double turn to literally just standing there.
Yep.
Something to nothing. It's like, whoa, crazy.
I wish more people appreciated that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every phrase in that second dance, he just pauses and does nothing. Even going verse to chorus, or going chorus back to verse, or whatever the difference is in how the energy is supposed to go in the dance, it's fairly flat for the song, but like all he does is just and he goes back up. It's just like, okay, cool. What are the dances?
I love it.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, it's like my favorite. So the other one I put in chat is Mario and Marianne Nunez, and they're doing a demo to How Long Can a Fool Go Wrong, and they do almost the entire song.
Ooh, that's
and
awesome.
it's just
play it.
Yeah, it's beyond good.
It's so good.
Because it's like it's mind blowing because it's all like almost all basic patterns. I'm pretty sure if you like went back and counted like the amount of patterns he does with two hands, you could probably it's under 20, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost everything he does is just one hand patterns. Usually just pass or maybe a sugar push.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you're just like a couple whips here and there. Like he has one like wrap pattern that's like okay maybe that's a little bit intricate, but like that's it.
Yeah. And we couldn't stop watching.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one to end the night on. That was funny.
All right.
That was great.
Stop sharing.
Good job, DJ. YouTube dancing.
Something like that.
DJ.
I don't know.
That was
My
awesome.
face hurts.
Yeah, my face hurts from laughing.
How you know you've had a good time.
Thanks for
Cool.
inviting us on, guys.
Yeah,
It's
no,
fun.
thank
so
you
much for
joining us.
having us. It was
Yeah,
so
thanks.
much fun. And thank you everybody for coming and hanging out and
Yeah.
watching videos.
Hopefully you guys got something out of it.
Yeah, no,
That was great.
it was so cool hearing you talk about your dance together and hearing both sides. It was fantastic. Thank you so much.
I enjoyed hearing Austin's side of it.
Things we just never talk about ever. Yeah, it's awesome.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Everyone has
so
a good
much,
night.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Click.
Wow, feels like the Brady Bunch tonight. This is amazing.
At least I'm not driving this time.
we are grateful. I am sure Emma is grateful. Emma had things to say last time.
Yes, I was very upset with you, Erin. Please don't do that again. Mom's popping into the chat here.
Okay, I won't.
He's
All
For the record, it
invincible.
was audio only, and it was on a stand.
Okay.
Take it.
You're safe.
Hi.
And for the record, did I say your last name correctly?
No, it's
Kois.
Kois.
Yeah.
Kois?
It's like the
Okay,
fish, but more than one.
gotcha.
But not
So,
actually the
faster.
plural, but sort of the plural. My first time watching it.
No.
You hear something, Alicia?
So we have new neighbors upstairs, and every single day there's just been this like squeaking noise for like an hour, nonstop.
An hour, you
Sounds
say?
about right. That's a marathon right there,
Hmm.
Erin.
It's like I know what you're talking about. I just saw the comment in the video that I haven't seen yet. It's so good. Gary's
What?
sitting there looking like he's getting a software update.
It's very exciting. And my questions are over here, so that's why I keep looking away.
My other screen's there too. So
Just like,
Can we ask her what she's cooking? No, I'm just kidding.
and she's got a mixer out, so she must be doing
Yeah,
some
I like
baking, right?
baking
Is she
sourdough
making-
I feel
bread.
like it must be cookies, right?
Can you
Okay.
share with us?
what are you making right now, Emma?
Want to come to Lake Oswego? I'm baking 4 pineapple upside down cakes.
My favorite.
What?
How'd you know?
Yeah, I've made 2 already, but I have to make 2 more, and it is getting warm, so I'm trying to do it before it starts getting cool, because, cool conservation. Anyway, yeah, if anyone wants to, just pop over real quick.
I
Yeah, I'll just be
I'm in
there.
California. I'll be there tomorrow.
Can you just throw it down here and throw it to the entire state?
Am I allowed to drive, Emma?
Oh my gosh.
I love how I am the physically closest and I don't like pineapple.
No.
The irony is not lost on
No,
me.
like every
It's more about being
birthday,
given
I
stuff
have
that's
pineapple
important.
upside down cake. Hashtag pineapple upside down cake.
Yes.